Hey guys, DPG, David Patrick Green, hackhollywood.com, hackbollywood.in. Today I'm actually recording this, well, it isn't the 4th of July, but it's the 4th of July weekend. And the reason I thought there's some serious significance between the 4th of July and your acting career is looking back at what the founding fathers had to go through. And so before I get to the rest of this video, please do me a favor and like, subscribe, share, and hit the bell for notifications. So I just thought I would mention to you guys that a lot of you I know are uncertain, and also maybe you have fear about what you're allowed to do, what you should do, etc. And if you think back to what the founding fathers had to go through and compare that to your current situation, no matter whether you're a complete beginner or whether you're experienced, it doesn't really matter. But if you go back and think about what they had to deal with, which was, we are getting taken advantage of by Great Britain, you know, in their mindset. Now they could have gotten over it. They could have said, well, I guess we'll just have to live with more taxes, right? I mean, that's what we do today. When they raise taxes, we pay more taxes. When they lower taxes, we pay less taxes. We don't necessarily think about taking over the country and reimagining it in our minds. But that's what the founding fathers did. They were so bold and determined that they were going to change the future and, of course, change history forever. So just think about your own situation, and yes, you don't know exactly what to do, but you can figure it out just like they figured it out. They didn't know anything about starting a country or running a country, or imagine having to take on probably the best armed and best trained army on the planet, and you're a bunch of crop growers and businessmen and maybe some indigenous people as well that thought it would be good to get the British out. And all of a sudden you're going to take on the redcoats, okay? So just think about that spirit of independence, that we will figure it out mentality, and then apply that to your own situation. Because there is, just like there is nobody that the founding fathers could ask for what to do, there's really no one you can ask what to do. You have to think things through and think, what sounds like the best plan of action right now? And then simply do that to find out. Okay, they had no idea how their little revolution was going to work out. And in fact, I'm sure they all were well aware that they could all end up dead or in jail, or anything could have happened. And yet they decided to go ahead anyway. So the risks for them were enormous. And the benefits were uncertain. They didn't even know what a good scenario was. Okay, so we win the war, then what? They didn't know. So I would just suggest to you guys, you actors out there, if you've got big dreams, pursue them. And if you don't have big dreams, I suggest you increase the size of your dreams, because when your dreams are big, you will tend to understand that you have to do bigger things to make them come true. And you also will see the benefits of those dreams. So I'm sure the founding fathers were thinking about what the country would be like if they could get rid of the British. And I'm sure they thought it would be awesome. And as it turns out, they were right. But it must have been a 1 in a million chance. I mean, they must have known that. They must have known that the odds were stacked against them, and yet they went ahead and did it anyway. And so that's what I would advise you guys to do. Look, I have lots of advice. I have lots of suggestions, but at the end of the day, it's all circumstantial. Whatever your particular circumstance is, whoever you happen to be, that's what you have to do, is figure out what is the best thing for you and your set of circumstances to do to get the results that you want. And the only way to find out if your little plan will work or not is to actually execute it. Okay, so in this day of independence or any other day, think independently. Think of the people before you, whether they are actors or revolutionaries, it doesn't matter. Think of the people that have had much, much bigger problems, and yet they still tackled them without fear. They weren't asking for anyone for permission. I mean, you want permission from a casting director or an agent to, call someone on the phone or to do something that's a little bit out of the ordinary. And that stops you probably many times, if not all the time, because you're worried about consequences. And yet, the founding fathers, not only did they have no one to ask, they just said to Great Britain, by the way, we're leaving. So stop taxing us. You can go on your merry way, or you can fight us. And of course, Great Britain chose to fight them because it was such a rich resource, the United States, or the colonies as they were called back then. And they fought it out. But think of what they were up against, and think of what you're up against, and what are the worst possible consequences that can happen to you. I can guarantee you it's almost nothing. Because when someone says no to you, they don't immediately write down all your details so they can plan on screwing you over the rest of your life. They forget about you, okay? Until maybe the next time you come along and you say, hey, remember me? Well, I've got something even better to offer now than I did last week when I spoke to you, or last month when I spoke to you. And guess what? You're not a stranger anymore. So it's actually better to approach someone and have them say no to you than it is not to approach them at all. Because what is far more dangerous to someone is the unknown, a strange person, rather than someone who they know but didn't necessarily have the greatest interaction with. Anyway, guys, that's it for now. Hopefully this makes some sense, and you can it'll help you minimize what seemed like a mountain range of problems when you compare them to the problems of people who either have it far worse or took on much, much bigger challenges and came through and were thrilled that they took the chance. Okay, guys, that's it for now. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions for future videos, let me know, and I will see you on the other side.